Hello and welcome to the Tabellenhütte online video tutorial about how to configure our IVT-S current and voltage sensing module with Busmaster. This video tutorial contains 6 chapters: getting started, parts and wiring, setting up Busmaster, configuring result messages, configuring CAN IDs, configuring the CAN baud rate, and configuring overcurrent thresholds. In this video, we want to talk about how to configure IVT-S CAN IDs. For this, we will need the IVT-S how-to document version 1.2 as well as the IVT-S datasheet version 1.01. Both documents can be downloaded from our website isabellenhütteusa.com or are also available for download from one of our partners. In this tutorial, we want to apply the CAN ID 624 to the result current message. This procedure can also be found in the IVT-S how-to document on page 4. For this, we will send 4 different command messages to the IVT-S module. First, we will send a command stop message. The module will respond to that with a response stop message. Second, we will send the config CAN ID message that contains our new CAN ID number. The module will respond with a response config CAN ID message, confirming this change. After that, we will have to send a command store message, and the module will respond with a response store message to that. Last, we will send a command start message to get the module running again, and the module will respond with a response start message. Now we will look at how to put together the command stop message, the first message that we will have to send. This can be followed by looking at the IVT-S datasheet page 25. And we will look at the section command set mode. Now, the command set mode basically defines whether the module is in stop mode or in run mode, and it has 2 different settings: the actual mode, which is valid until the next reset in data byte 1, and the startup operation mode, which requires a store command to save the setting, and which is valid after each startup. Now, to set the module in stop mode, we will have to choose data byte 0x34 for the set mode message, and in data byte 1 we will choose 0x00 for the actual mode stop to set the module in stop mode. Optionally, we can also set the data byte 2, which is by default configured to 01 run, as if we want to configure the startup behavior after the next startup, but this is not mandatory. Data byte 3 and 4 are for future access and don't have to be used, so we can just leave them as they are at 0. Now we would like to configure the command set CAN ID message. This procedure can also be found in the IVT-S datasheet on page 23. First, we will have to define data byte 0. And data byte 0 indicates which message type is going to be changed. As we want to change the result message I, we will have to set data byte 0 to 0x10. Second, we will have to define data bytes 1 and 2 to choose the CAN ID that we have selected for the current result message. Please be mindful that IVT-S is configured by default to big endian. That means it stores the most significant byte of a word at the lower memory address. That means you have to enter the CAN ID like so: 0624 over data bytes 1 and 2. Last, we will have to define data bytes 3 through 6 for the 32-bit serial number. The serial number can be found either on the label on the bottom of your IVT-S module, or you can read it from the alive message that the sensor will send at startup. In our case, the serial number for the module that we will use is 10015163, and that converted into hexadecimal will be 0098D1BB, entered over data bytes 3 through 6. The next step is to send a command store message. This can also be found on the datasheet on page 25. The section here is command store. Now this message is very simple. We just have to put data byte 0 to 0x32, which is the command store message. Nothing else to do here. The last message we will have to send is the command start message, also to be found on page 25. Again, we have to go back to the section command set mode. Again, we will have to type in our data byte 0, 0x34 for the set operation mode. This time though, we will choose data byte 1, 0x01 for run. Again, optionally, you could set the data byte 2 to either stop or run, whatever you want the module to do after startup, after reset. But if you wanted to change the data byte 2 here, you would have to send another store command after this start message. Data byte 3 and 4 will again stay at 0. So now we're back in Busmaster to actually go through how to put the messages that we just designed into the program and how to send them out to the module and actually get the module to respond to our messages. Now for this, we're going to switch back from the Tools tab to the CAN tab. And basically the windows that you will need are the message window right here, which shows you the messages that have been sent to the module and received from the module, and the transmission messages window right here. This is actually the window that we're going to use to put the messages into the system. Now the transmission window can be pulled up by simply clicking this button right here. And when I click there, you can see it's already there, so nothing happens. And the message window can be pulled up by clicking this button here. The first line here, the activate button, has to have a check mark, and then you will see it. Also, just an additional hint, under the Views tab right here, you have the option to actually arrange windows by cascading them, tile vertically, tile horizontally. So I tiled them vertically. That's just the view I like best. Just a little hint if you're not happy with how the windows show up here on your screen. So now we go back to the CAN tab, and we will start off in the Configure Transmission Messages window right here. This window has 3 boxes: the transmitted messages frame list, the data byte view, and the signal details. Now the first thing we have to do to add a message is to double click on this field where it says Add Message. By doing so, you will see that a drop-down menu comes up with all different categories of messages, and we will always select the first one, the message command, because all the other ones that we see down here are actually messages that are sent by the module and not relevant for configuring IVT-S. And we see all these messages here because we uploaded our CAN DBC file before into Busmaster. Now we select the first message, and by doing so, you can see that all command messages populate down here under Signal Details. So the first thing we're going to do is to put in the stop message, and you can see down here under Signal Details, there's a list of all the command messages, and You can select one of them. I'm going to select the actual mode message right here because that's the one that we're going to need for the stop message. And as you can see in the signal name, the first 2 digits here are always the data byte 0. So that can be of a little help when you put the message in the data byte view up here. Also on the right hand side, there's a matrix, and this matrix basically has the data bytes on the y-axis, like so, 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on, and the actual bits of each data byte on the x-axis right here from 0 to 7. So basically, the data byte 1 bit 0 is highlighted, so that means that this message will actually only accept data byte 1, the first bit, to be changed. And you can technically also type this in as the raw value right here. So as we're gonna have the module in stop mode, the value that we actually need here is 0, but if you would type a 5 in here, for instance, it would switch to 1 because 1 is the only allowed value in there. So, and it will also populate up here the data byte view under the data byte 0141, but that would be the run mode now. So this helps a little bit with regards to the accepted bit values that actually can be entered in this window. So I'm going to switch it back to 0 because we actually want the data byte 1 to be 0. And then for the data byte 0, we have to type in 34 for the stop message. So we're going to hit OK. And this is all we need to do for our stop message. Now in the frame list up here, you can see there's a couple of parameters. There's the message name, frame ID, channel, data length, message type, RTR, which is the remote bit, which we won't need, repetition in milliseconds. This is if you want the program to actually repeatedly send this message with a certain frequency of, for instance, 10 milliseconds. But we don't want that. We only want the message to be sent once. Now, there's different ways of sending the message. You can either click the send message button, which should highlight like so, or you can use a key from your keyboard. So you can set the check mark here, and now if I would hit the A key on my keyboard, this message would be sent. And we're going to use this procedure for this demonstration video. Now, the next message we want to enter is our CAN ID configuration message. And as you can see, I already added another command message up to our frame list. And I pre-selected the set CAN ID value I message from the signal details, which is actually the message to put in our new CAN ID. Now, we're going to go ahead and put in 0624 as the new CAN ID. We can do that down in the signal details, which basically helps us to put these values into the right data bytes, namely data byte 1 and 2, and hence avoids confusion with these with the right data bytes. For the data byte 0 up here, we're going to put in 10 for the right message, as we can see here, as is highlighted down in the signal details. To put in the serial number, I scrolled down in the signal details to the get CAN ID command message, and that makes it easier for me again to put the serial number into the right data bytes. I know it has to be entered into data bytes 3 through 6. We can also see that again in the matrix here on the right side. It is highlighted. So I have to type in the physical value that I read off my label from the bottom of my IVT-S module. And this number in our case is 10015163. We hit enter, and now you can see that the program automatically populated the serial number in hexadecimal into bytes 4 through 6 into the right spot. Lastly, we're also going to assign a key to send this message. So we're going to put the check mark up here, and we're going to assign this the key B. The next message we're going to put in is our store message. And again, we will have to add a command message, what I already did up here. And for the store message, there's nothing else to do but to enter the data byte 0, which is 32. Entering it right here. And now we still have to assign a letter, and we're going to choose the letter C for that. The last message to enter is the run message. For that, I again entered a new command message, and we're going to again use the actual mode message here. So we're going to enter data byte 0, 34. And for the data byte 1, we're now going to enter a 01 because we want the module to start running after our configuration. For the key, we're going to choose the letter D to get this started. And now we can go ahead and actually start sending those messages to the module. Sending out messages is pretty easy, as we have assigned a key to each single message in our frame list here. So we're going to go ahead and hit the A key to send out the stop message. And as you can see in the message window here at the right, the message sent out by Busmaster populated and the according response message from IVT-S as well. Now, I would like to mention at this point that the IVT-S module was in stop mode already. So for this procedure here, it wouldn't have been absolutely necessary to send this message. But in the IVT-S default setting, the module will be in run mode. And in that case, you will have to send the stop message first to perform this procedure. Now we're going to hit the B key on our keyboard to send the CAN ID configuration message. And it was sent out, and the module again responded, and you can see the new CAN ID that we assigned also appears in the response message in data byte 2 and 3, and the serial number appears again or is confirmed by the module in data byte 3 to 6. Next, we're going to hit the C key for the store message, and again the module response confirms the store of the new configuration, and it also confirms the serial number, this time in data byte 2 to 5. Lastly, we will hit the D key to put our module into run mode. Now you can see there's different result messages populating in the message window. We have the IVT result message U1, U2, and U3. And we have our message with the CAN ID 624 that we just configured. Now the reason is why you don't see the actual description of the message here, that the new CAN ID is not represented in the CAN DBC file that was uploaded into Busmaster. So in order for Busmaster to actually display the result message I, the result current message, in this message field, you would have to go ahead and adapt the CAN DBC file with this new CAN ID, upload it into Busmaster again, and then Busmaster would actually display the message name for the result message I, just like it does for the other result messages here. Please check out these additional videos linked below for instructions in performing various configurations with our IVT-S modules.